Let's take another example on rounding off numbers to significant figures. This example says you should round off 7.0282 to 1SF, 2SF, 3SF, and 4SF. Now remember that SF stands for significant figures. So here's our solution. Now for A, we are to round off 7.028 to one significant figure. Now remember, to count your significant figure, you start from the left and you identify the first non-zero. The first non-zero becomes your first significant figure. And then every other digit that follow becomes your second significant figure, third significant figure, fourth significant figure, and so on. So starting from the left, the first non-zero we identify here is digit 7. So that means digit 7 is in our rounding off point. Now the next thing we do is to find the digit next to it, that is to the right of the rounding off point, and that digit is 0. Now 0 falls at the rounding down point, because any digit that is between 0 to 4 means that we round down. But if it falls between 5 to 9, we then round up. So in this case, we are rounding down. That means we are adding 0 to 7, and every other thing becomes 0. And remember, once you are dealing with numbers that are before the decimal place, you write them as they are. If there are zeros after, they remain as they are. But once you cross the decimal point, if every other thing is 0, you can always jettison that. So in this case, when we add, we'll have 7 plus 0 to give us 7. Now, every other thing becomes 0. And those that are becoming 0 are after the decimal point, meaning I don't need to write 0.000 anymore. I can just leave it at 7, which is a whole number. And then say this is to one significant figure. Always putting this, let the teacher knows what parameter you have used for your rounding off. So since we are asked to do it in significant figure, we have to put it to 1 SF. Now for B. We have to round off to two significant figures. So 7.028 to two significant figures. Now let's start from the left to identify our first non-zero. And that is 7 in the first significant figure. The next digit automatically becomes our second significant figure, which is digit 0. That is, the digit that is in our rounding off point is digit 0. Now that we've identified our rounding off point, let's look at the next digit after it. So the next digit after 0 is digit 2. And digits that are between 0 to 4 means that we round down, while from 5 to 9 means we round up. So in this case, we are going to round down. So that is, we are adding 0 to this. And when we do the addition, we're going to have 7.0. Every other thing becomes 0, and since it is after the decimal point, I don't need to put those zeros. But this one is very important to be there because we are rounding to two significant figures. That is why I must have two digits here. So we have it as 7.0. Now, C. We are still rounding off 7.028, but this time to three significant figures. Now let's count our significant figures. We have 1, 2, and 3. That is, the digit in our rounding off place is digit 2. And the next digit after 2 is digit 8. And this time it means we are going to round up. So when we round up, what we are going to get is adding 1 to 2. Now let's add it up. We're going to have 7.0. Now 2 plus 1 will give us 3. So now we already have 3 digits. So we say this is to 3 significant figures. Now recall that every other thing becomes 0. And since we have gone past the decimal point, we don't need to write the other zeros. All we need is just these 3 digits, which shows that we have done it to 3 significant figures. And then finally, for D, let's round off 7.028 to 4 significant figures. Now if you count, we only have 1, 2, 3, 4. Now since it is 4 digits only, We then assume that whatever digits that come next is going to be a 0. Therefore, when we are considering digit 8, the next digit is a 0, so we are going to round down. So it has no effect on this number because we are just adding a 0. And when we do that, we get 7.028. And this is 4 significant figures. Now, please do not forget that even though these two digits have the same value, this has been approximated to 1 significant figure, while this is to 2 significant figures, which is why this only has 1 digit and this has 2 digits. This is how we solve this problem. Thank you.